Happy Tuesday. This is Kathy Sparrow, and I'm here today with Laurie Seymour, a dear friend and mentor, and I've known her, gosh, for almost 10 years. Goodness. Anyway, wait a minute, it is, yeah,
Mm.
it's
Is it
like
really? Wow.
2020,
Mm.
2013 that we met.
Holy
And
mackerel. Okay.
yeah, I
Mm.
know. I just went, wow, we're in 2023. And today, Lori and I are going to have a conversation about tapping into the quantum energy field to keep your inspiration and abundance flowing. And that is really important for everyone, particularly writers, because we need, we the muse can sometimes get a little persnickety. I know mine did yesterday, and I had to go take a walk
Ah.
to get a reset. Yeah.
You
So
found your way to connect back in.
yeah, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about Lori. She is the Quantum Connection Mentor, a two-time best-selling author, a certified master trainer, CEO of the Baca Institute, and a host of the Wisdom Talk radio podcast. She helps conscious business owners create the business that celebrates and reflects their creative intelligent genius and gives them the financial flow they deserve with the time, health, and well-being to enjoy it. She loves working with authors to help stay them connected with their inner inspiration as they bring their creation into being and to be rebooted. That's just lovely,
Oh my
right?
goodness. Yeah.
Just just lovely. So anyway, I was sharing as you were coming back in that we've been working together for about 10 years and actually really steadily for the last 4 on a monthly
Mm.
basis. That since then, my business has really grown. My energy's shifted. I feel more energized and definitely attracting more abundance in my life because of what we do together. So,
Mm.
and it- what I'd like to share is like, how does a creative person or anybody, because we're all
Mhm.
creative, we're always co-collaborating. How do we tap into that quantum energy to keep things moving?
Well, maybe we should start half a step back of what are we talking about quantum energy and
That's
just
yes,
yeah,
actually.
and just to say without making anything too complex, without saying, "Oh my god, you've got to be a scientist or a mathematician," or, obviously you don't, because I am not a mathematician for sure. Um, it's to recognize that everything in the universe is energy, and that we, because we are part of this universe, everything within us, everything of us is energy. And because it also implies that we are part of the this whole field, this whole energy field that is the universe. And then the next step from that is, given that we have the capacity, should we become aware of it and use it, to tap into that unlimited potential, to tap into all that is not yet manifest. And so what I mean by that and how that works in real life then is that when I allow myself to get quiet enough to tap into that, and eventually you're doing that in every moment of your life. What you are doing is it's not you by yourself. It's you and it's you and. And so that is a limitless capacity, a limitless fountain, so to speak, of
Mhm.
creative potential. So I use the term creative intelligence, and creative intelligence is everything within you. We get trained from early on in a very linear way. We go to school, we learn our times tables, we learn that A plus B equals C. And even for those of us who feel uncomfortable with that and want to kind of expand beyond that, that is still our training. That's
Mhm.
the familial expectation, and that's what we know. And so when we start butting up against that, what we're really doing is saying, hey, there is more to me
Mhm.
than just that capacity. Not only do I want to color outside the box, I am the whole. And so for anyone that is creating something, certainly an author writing a book, creating a big program. And I know you really know about this as you were creating this year-long program,
Mhm. Yeah.
write books that change the world. If we tap into that creative potential, if you use your creative intelligence, what you're doing is you're tapping into all that potential, all that possibility. So it's not just that linear, what I already know, your expertise, your training. It's so much more than that. And that
Yeah.
becomes something that's sustainable then. Because that's what we need. If we're writing a book, we need that something that will sustain us in the creative endeavor.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what you said and you've said to me all along is that we're not doing this alone, right? And if
Mhm.
we it takes this kind of burden off our backs when we realize that we can have the support of the universe, divine, creative
Mhm.
intelligence, but we have to ask, right?
Yeah, we have to ask, we have to be open to it, we have to acknowledge. I know that, one of my teachers used to say, "I am nothing by myself."
Mm,
But the next piece of that was, "And I am everything when I tune into and I realize that within me is everything. Within
mhm,
me is this connection to presence, to the quantum field, to the universe," however it is we wanna talk about it
mhm.
or refer to it or think of it. But we can, and by virtue of taking a breath, that's what keeps us alive.
Yeah,
And we can actually learn how to activate that and to rely upon it because that's our co-creative action.
mhm. So, how do we activate it, connect with it?
Hmm, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, boy, there's a part of me that wants to say, "Well, Kathy, how do we do that?" Because I mean, I think one easy way to think of starting with that is with the breath.
Mhm,
To think about the reality that the breath is electrified. And with our consciousness, it's with our consciousness that we electrify that breath. And so taking a conscious breath, realizing that this is maybe a kind of poetic way to say it, but I also think it's reality. It's I'm breathing in the breath of God.
mm,
So if I breathe that in, take that breath, my intellect does not need to know how to mix the chemicals. That happens, and that's quite a miracle. With the breath or encoded in the breath are all these frequencies that then
mhm,
take on have a different impact in the physical body. It's like that brings in the new information. It brings
mm,
in these new frequencies. It brings in the creative impulse.
mhm.
And by taking a conscious breath, you are embarking on that journey of activating your creative potential.
Yeah. And I think that if we just think about the times when we're stressed, we don't take those deep
Mhm.
breaths, and then everything feels frantic, right? We're
Mhm.
grasping. But I know that, write books that change the world. It came to me in meditation about a year and a half ago during one of our
Mhm.
Terreia meditations. But then it was last fall that I woke up one morning and I was sitting on the balcony having my coffee, and suddenly more information unfolded.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's amazing to watch how this program has, grown
Mhm.
by using this technique, by
Yeah.
just giving myself some space, not
Mhm.
feeling I had to, like, push through anything, but just to be open, and allow and ask, and ask.
I mean, I got to watch how you did this. So if I can say from the outside a little of what I saw is
Sure.
I saw you said you had this idea, And I remember that when it was like, oh my God. And I remember it because I always had the sensing of what you were about and what you kind of like what you were here for.
Mhm.
And so to see you receive it, because timing is everything.
Mhm.
So it's like the stars align. We speak about that, but this is your willingness to show up, your willingness to receive that moment of the energies, bringing that idea to you, so to speak. All of
Mhm.
that had to come together. If you were at a moment of your life where you were not allowing yourself to receive, if you were just pushing like crazy and stressed beyond belief, and those are some of the things we have to address, then that connection wouldn't have been allowed to happen.
Yeah.
That receiving wouldn't have happened. And then as you were with it, it's like you had to up level your own frequency in order to then not only receive it, but then to take it piece by piece and step by step and to receive each new aspect. And it's like each new aspect was almost a new frequency. And then you had to explore that and you had
Mhm.
to integrate that into your body. So we have to embody this.
Yeah.
And it started becoming more real and more real and more real. And here you are today.
Yeah. And it's exciting too. I mean, I didn't even
Mhm.
up until last week or a couple weeks ago, I hadn't even thought about inviting my guest experts who onto LinkedIn Live to talk about what we're going to be doing because you're
Right.
going to appear May 11th, and I really I want to be able to share what you have
Mm.
with the
Mhm.
people who come into the program because it's so valuable.
Yeah.
And um, I know we had a couple questions. I just want to I think the one thing that when people get overwhelmed, right? I guess it
Mhm.
goes back to the breath. Just stop. Right? It seems like that's the answer. Go back to the breath.
I mean, because it's simple. It's an easy thing to speak to. Um, and what we've done in our work is as you have developed that pathway so that
Mhm,
you know the feeling in your body when you're out of sorts, when
mhm.
you're not receiving, when you're stressed, when you can't connect. Um, and that shows up for everybody, whether that's in judgment about other people or judgment about yourself or self-doubt, or it's just simple, I'm stressed beyond belief, I'm overwhelmed, which simply means I've forgotten about who I am.
Mm,
I've forgotten about my connection, that I have this connection and I can rely on it. And so in that process of developing the physical reality of it, meaning the physical memory of it in your body, then you
mhm,
can say, "Oh, just a minute, you know, I've lost my connection." And
mhm.
you don't really lose it, but you forget. You
Yeah,
forget that you have it, which is akin to losing it because it's as if you don't have it, as if you don't know how to even get it back. And I think it's really important to have the experiences, and that's why so much of my work is grounded in energy. It is because it's what the Turiya meditation work does is to give people the experience of what that feels like to be in the state of co-creation, what that feels like to be in that state of not overwhelm, but whelmed,
yeah,
because you are receiving and you're expressing.
yeah.
Because receiving is not passive. It's not sitting back and just saying, okay, I'm going to be, kind of hang out here and wait for the universe to give me what I think I need to have. How are you going to engage with it? How are you going to express it? Are you going to be willing to not hold back? Because
Right.
holding back can create that feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah, that fear of, "Oh my gosh, what if I take this next step?"
Mhm.
I'm not sure I know how to put into words how I receive, but I know
Mm.
I get into this space where it's a surrender and go, "Okay." But how would you
Mhm.
describe that? How does
Mm.
someone receive those energies?
It's first of all a recognition that they're part of our human blueprint, that our ability and capacity to receive is embedded and encoded in our cells. So it's a decision, it's a recognition, and then it's allowing yourself, and this is the good practice of it, it's allowing yourself to experiment with, how do I get quiet? How do I let, what's in the way? Oh, I have expectation of what this is going to look like. You've heard people in our meditation times talk to, well, I didn't have this experience and I didn't have that experience. Meanwhile, they've had this transcendent kind of experience, and because it didn't look like what they expected, they want to shut it down, and they don't
Mhm.
want to acknowledge it, and then therefore they're not receiving it.
Yeah. I
So
think that
yeah, so there is an aspect of surrender too.
Mhm.
As you were just saying, that surrender is a big piece, not a giving in, not a giving up, but recognizing, oh, I have a partner in this, and the partner is the universe, and how can I be the best spokesperson, for what wants to come through me?
Right, right. I'm gonna speak to that first. I often believe I really believe that when a book idea comes to us, that it's, God, universe,
Mhm.
presence tapping us on the shoulder saying, "Hey, I've got a job for you to do, and I
Yeah.
really need it for you to do it." And so there is this responsibility to answer that calling, and I know
Mhm.
at times I've questioned and resisted, but I also know that that creates more pain and suffering than just going, "All right, let's see where we're gonna go with this."
Yeah, yeah. How will this be? How can Yeah, we do have to learn how to navigate that whole journey of having received the idea, and then what do I do with it?
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
I know, I've worked with so many innovators or people that are visionaries, and part of the journey of navigation is this idea for me?
mhm,
Because if you're I call them a quantum connection style, but if you're a creative dreamer, for example, you're someone that receives lots and lots and lots of ideas. It's like it's your currency.
mhm.
If you think that they're all yours to do, because they're just there in the field, ideas are rampant in the field, which is why sometimes you'll have an idea, and if you don't act on it, you'll see somebody on the other side of the world has suddenly published the book with your title and with your ideas. And you say, well, how did that happen? And it's
Yeah,
because, they're floating, they're here, they're available. And if you receive it, and then you have to say, is this for me?
mhm.
So
Yep,
there's two pieces there. There's the discernment, and then there's the rising to the occasion.
mhm.
And navigating that, well, what do I do with this? And how do I get to know this? And how do I get more familiar with this? I received something yesterday in a conversation with a friend, and I just made a quick note, and I haven't had a chance to go back to it. It seems like something that is uniquely mine to write about.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's a book. I mean, I would start with, hey, it's a blog post. um, but it's that allowing itself to percolate, but not getting passive with it, like
Mhm.
going into it. And you referenced asking the questions. What more is there? What am I needing to bring this out? How am I to proceed with it? What's my next step?
Mhm.
All those are pieces that play into it. And I know
Right.
you know that.
Yeah, yeah, it's just I lean into it and sometimes I know that the timing isn't quite right, but it's still there,
Uh-huh.
and,
Uh-huh.
and I have to move some other things out of the way. Well, I noticed though what happens with a lot of my clients, I wouldn't say most, a lot, and this often either happens when the idea comes or at periods of time that we're working where the fear, like, "Who am I to write this book?" gets in the way.
Yeah.
Like, that unworthiness. How do we get
Mhm.
past that?
Well, first of all, it's to recognize if this idea came to you, it's because it is yours to do. And that's the old chatter. Who am I to do this? Well, you
Mhm.
don't know who you are to do it. Maybe it's simply that you were willing to step up and be a great co-creator.
Mhm.
Really, really surrender to being in that relationship. So with this idea that, and I'm not even going to say what it is because it's so brand new, but with this idea that came to me yesterday, I could see how, boy, this is uniquely mine to do.
Mhm.
So I didn't have the, oh, who am I to do it? But what came on the heels of that is there's so much I don't know. Like how am I to do this? So it may be something that, given my life experiences, given who I am, that this is mine to do. But then it's the, oh, to really do it, am I willing to? And how do I do that? And that's where I'm willing to turn it over, to this co-creative relationship, to this partnership, to say, okay, if this is mine to do, you got to show me how to do it. And
Mhm.
I'm speaking to what I call the energies. I'm speaking to presence. I'm speaking to the divine, because there is that relationship that does allow and that is willing to be of assistance.
Yes, and there's a certain aspect of nurturing that relationship, right?
Yeah.
Acting on that
Oh,
guidance, which
yeah.
and it is a relationship. It's like anything. It's like if, we can't be just totally demanding, but
Right, right. But that's a really important thing, what you just said, Kathy, about nurturing the relationship. So, that's part of what I see my work is in the world, is helping people to nurture that relationship, helping to activate that, first of all, but then inviting that alignment, inviting the deepening of the relationship, allowing that to unfold, because it too is not a one and done. It is an
Mhm.
ongoing, and if it's an ongoing thing, and if we're gonna do it in the most creative, fulfilling, and fulfilled way, we have to be willing to keep allowing our own frequency to shift and to change and to up level.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's always new energies to receive that will support it. But
S
it's not, um you can't take it for granted. That's what I think I wanna say.
Yeah. No, that that I've learned. Um, I think there was a time probably 20 years ago that I ignored that divine connection, right? Like,
Mhm.
not gonna listen, I gotta do it my way. Boy, did
Yeah.
life go sideways then. It's like, "Okay, I got it." And since then, it's become richer, especially since our work together.
Mhm.
How do we and I know what I do, but I'll
Okay.
be sure to add afterwards, but how do we make room for our frequency to shift? And what do we even mean by that? What happens when our frequency shifts? I think we better go there first.
Yeah, shift is a funny word. Um,
Or yeah.
what I mean, no, I understand why you used it. I think I just used it. Um, it it has to do with the ongoing evolutionary nature of us as human beings,
Mhm,
that as we evolve, as we transform, we the vibratory rate in every cell in the body increases. It gets higher. That's what we really mean when we're talking about higher consciousness. It's not about something that is just, oh, that's woo woo. So what does that mean? And that's just spirit. And it is literally what takes place in the cells, which also acts as a kind of clearer outer. In other words, it clears out old patterns
mm,
by virtue of they can't exist with a higher frequency. And so it's not that we come to a place and we say, "Ah, I've made it." That to me is where we say, "Okay, I'm ready to transition out of this mortal life." Um,
Mhm.
but as long as we're here in the physical, we get to continually go for or receive a higher frequency. And that as we work with the idea, with let's talk about a book idea. Let's talk about a book, period. As we work with that, we have to allow the project to unfold. We
Mhm.
can't say it's like, "It's this." We can, but then we've turned our back on the creative life force. We've turned
Yeah.
our back on what is here and available as a living entity, because really your book idea is a living entity. And
Yeah.
how do you nurture that? How do you allow it to have an evolving voice so that you may start with in one place, but as you write, and as you go chapter to chapter, you start to see, oh, that's what's being asked of me. This is what needs to go in here. This is where this story is going.
Right.
Whether
Right.
it's fiction or nonfiction, this creation is a co-creation. You and the universe,
Yeah.
you and the energies, you and presence. Now, that's a pretty exciting dance to take, isn't it?
It actually is, and frightening at times. I remember, well, one, I do believe that, um, when we say yes to a project, we it's our job to listen to it, and,
Mhm,
when I'm working with clients, we'll actually take a few moments most of the time to just tap into that and go, "Okay, what needs to come through today? What do we need to discuss today?" And
mhm,
if I don't do that with clients in the moment, I do that before we meet or even as I'm sitting down and editing,
mhm.
or, giving feedback. But I do remember one time I was working with, On the Mother Lagoon, fly fishing in the spiritual journey, and I thought I was done. And then suddenly it was like this chapter came through. I was given guidance. I had to share an experience, and I was like, "No, in this
Yeah.
book, really?" And I ended up doing that, and
Yeah.
nobody threw eggs at me because I put this particular experience in,
Well,
and I
more
can
than
also
that, how did it feel to do it?
relief. It was
Oh,
it it was like, "Oh, yeah, this makes sense." It was probably more
mm,
than relief. Well, relief that I did it, but also it just made sense.
mhm,
It
mhm.
just made sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Then you're honoring your own process and you're honoring the process of the book, of the creation.
mhm, mhm, and in every project I've ever worked on over the last 20, 30 years, I've never seen it end the way we think it's gonna the way we
Mm.
thought at the beginning.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
often kind of chuckle that my clients go through primary research to work out something that inevitably winds up in the book. So it's
Oh,
kind of a
interesting.
yeah,
Ah.
yeah, it's like
Mhm,
when I start seeing their lives unravel a little bit, not that they totally unravel, but like some issue comes up,
mhm,
like, "Oh, okay, I know what's going on." I don't say it right away, but,
mhm, mhm.
eventually
But
I
you
say, "Oh."
have so much experience in being part of giving birth to so many books and so many different kinds of books.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so there are things that you know about that inherently honor that creative process
Yeah,
and invite the author into doing that in ways that they may not have even thought of.
yeah, yeah. It's
And
true.
it's when we get overwhelmed or when we get into self-doubt that we revert to what our training was, which is that linear way of being. Okay, maybe I need to do more research. Maybe I need to get another degree. Maybe I need to, do something to fix this.
Yeah.
Do you ever stop? And I'm saying this to, who's ever listening. Do you ever stop to get quiet and to say, "Oh, let me just I'm in this state of not knowing, and that's a
Mhm.
beautiful state. And let me not worry about not knowing. Let me instead say, "Oh, I don't know," which is a beautiful moment to invite in that which does know, meaning that universal field, that creative
Mhm.
intelligence to tap into the more than what your mind knows. That's why this is beyond mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, this beyond mindset is beyond,
Mhm.
our ability to write, what level we're at. It's if we
Mhm.
can just trust it.
Yeah.
The process is really beautiful, and,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, the outcome is far beyond expectations,
Mhm.
initial expectations, yeah, yeah.
And you've gotten to witness so many beautiful babies. In other
Yes.
words, so many beautiful births.
Yeah, yeah, and I have. It's been, really, um, meaningful seems like almost an insignificant word, it
Mhm.
goes beyond
Mhm.
that. It's just I literally, when I've worked with clients through the process and they get to hold the
Mhm.
book in their hand, right,
Mm.
and share I'm whelmed, I
Yeah.
have that moment where I have to just,
Mhm.
wow, marvel at the process, marvel at what can be created when we do tap into that
Mhm.
quantum energy field
Yeah.
and trust. Yeah.
And we were talking, or I was talking this morning in our Turiya meditation session, the group session, about how our vibration impacts the world. And I'm just extending that into what we're talking about here, because as you publish a book that gets written in that kind of way, it's a living entity. It's an energetic force. It may be a children's book. It may be a leadership book. It doesn't matter. It's not the content of it. It's the energy through which it was written. So you really are putting something out that has great impact in the world.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Wow, lots of juicy stuff, and I know you and I could go on forever.
But we had
Lots of
that big gap there in the beginning of this recording, so
yeah, well, trying not to get overwhelmed in the technical, issues, and we
Mhm.
got through it, right? Like, "Oh, some more stretching, some more learning experiences." We say yes to doing something that's new, and this is new for me, so,
Great.
um, how can people get a hold of you to learn
Oh,
more about you?
well, the Baca Institute, which is there under my face, the bacainstitute.com is where I live online. Of course, I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and here we are on LinkedIn and Instagram and places like that. Um, but the Baca Institute is a wonderful place to go to and visit because there's the quantum connection quiz you can take. You can have a complimentary quantum connection call with me and really look at what's your right fit next step. And there's all sorts of things to read and kind of dive into, as well as all the Wisdom Talk radio recordings. So
Yeah,
lots of juicy stuff there.
lots of juicy stuff, yeah. Lori, thank you. I so
Mm.
appreciate your willingness to step into this platform and have a
Mm.
conversation with me, and I'm excited to share, more of you with the people that
Mm.
sign up for, write books that change the world so that they can actually give birth within a year.
I am so excited about this program, Kathy. I am so excited about this program because because I've gotten to watch how it has gestated
Yeah,
and the way it's taken form and
yeah.
what I know you have to bring to
Oh, thank
the
you.
people who know that they have a message to share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm super excited. I can't wait to start teaching.
Yay.
Yeah, so write books that change the world, and, there's lots of ways to find that,
What's the
and
best place for people to find that, Kathy?
the best place is, and I will pop a link into this conversation, event afterwards, but, it's write books that change the world. I think it's backslash enroll, but or
Okay.
actually just direct message me on LinkedIn, Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram, and we can have a conversation, see if you're a good fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
great.
having me, inviting me to be here with you today,
Oh,
Kat.
thank you. Thank you. And have a wonderful rest of your day.